Greetings, East Coast family and friends. I am so honored today to welcome a dear friend and a person who honestly needs no introduction, but it is so important and it would be so appropriate for us to honor Teresa Rodriguez. Welcome, bienvenida to your casa.
Hi, Maria. Thank you so much for your kind words. I am humbled, honestly, to be here with you. You know how much I respect and admire you. And when you called me and said, I'd love for you to be part of this, I was really humbled.
So,
Mhm.
share with us a little bit. You are from Cuba, but what
Mhm.
has your trajectory been to now become this accomplished woman in every aspect that you have become now?
I came to this country when I was 9 months old with my family from Cuba. They left everything behind, had to start anew, like many immigrants today, not knowing the customs, not knowing the culture, not knowing the language. And it was thanks to, I would say, that support I had at home, especially my mother, who was a homemaker who loved to sew. She was the backbone of our family. And she always would say to me, Mija, I want you to study. I want you to get a university degree. I want you to become an independent woman and never have to rely on anyone to live. You will have time to learn how to do the household chores, to clean, to cook, to sew, to iron. But I want you to concentrate first on an education. And I think there wasn't a day, Maria, that went by where she didn't harp on that. Educación, edúcate, edúcate, edúcate. I'm being bilingual because I know that a
I
lot of the folks who will be
exactly.
joining us are also bilingual, but I can't stress how important that was because although she hardly spoke any English, but her message to me, she didn't have monumental aspirations. She only got as far as an eighth grade education, but she had big dreams for me. And she was my first mentor.
In your trajectory as a journalist, I know you have covered hundreds of stories that relate to education.
Yeah.
What is the impact that you see the most in that connection, and especially in underserved communities, right?
Education is up to the school. It's up to the teachers. No, education starts at home. Even if you don't know the language, you can be there as a support system for your children, which is what my mother did, right?
Exactly.
She didn't know the language enough and only had that eighth grade education to sit down with me and do my homework. But she was telling me, you can do this, you can do this. So I feel that when we reached out to parents in underserved communities and we were saying nowadays it's changed. We have guidance counselors at school who speak Spanish. We have teachers. There are programs there. You have to be invested in your children's education. You have to say presente. I am there. And even though language may appear to be a barrier, it's no excuse for sitting there and being your child's cheerleader and saying you can do this and finding help because help is available. Thank goodness nowadays it is available. There are many bilingual professionals out there. There are even people who will tutor for free and help
Exactly.
your children. So I think that it has to begin at home and it has to begin by example. Because my first job is mom. That's the first hat I wear. And that has not changed.
The majority of the population that we serve here at East Coast are bilingual, and we are very strong in implementing and enforcing
Right.
that dual language from the beginning, the teaching, in
Absolutely.
dual language. And
Right.
in reality, when you think about it, what an amazing contribution we make to this
Oh,
phenomenal country. I mean, this country is
yes.
amazing,
Yeah.
but our children, they are able to speak multi languages, not
Oh,
just
please.
Spanish, but
Yes.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, let me tell you, Maria, that at home we had a rule. My parents had a rule, and they said, while you're here, you speak Spanish. Aquí se habla español. When you go to school and with your friends, you speak English. And little did I know, Maria, back then that I would make my living working in Spanish language broadcast journalism. So I had to learn, I learned both languages. And many times I became the translator when they would get mail and they didn't
Yes.
understand. I was the official translator. But later on, in life, I realized that it was such a blessing because nowadays you we're about the only country in the world, I think, that doesn't, actually tell kids learn another language or be
Yes.
proud of where you came from and your roots and your culture and your custom. Because you go to Europe, everybody speaks their native tongue and English, for example.
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I've always told, and this is why I love to do these kinds of interviews and visit schools and talk to students and teachers and families. It's because I feel that we have to be proud of who we are. We have to embrace our culture, our language, our customs. You know why? They are what make us unique. And that is why we shine. We all have so much to contribute to this great country, to this world, to our communities. And I think that we can't forget that, who we are, because it's ingrained in us. It's part of our DNA.
Exactly.
And you know what? It only makes us better.
Betty, what message would you give to a young lady that is just coming out of high school or even in high school that has had a difficult upbringing just because of the social economic barriers that our communities face, right? But what message would you give them about pursuing their dreams? You have had many dreams and you're an accomplished. And, you know, we're talking and celebrating Women's History Month. And we always talk about those that made it, but you have to start somewhere. What message do you have for that young lady?
I would say, first of all, don't ever let anyone tell you it's not possible. If you really want something, if you're passionate, it begins here. If you're passionate about something, you have to go for it. You have to prepare. You have to study. You have to be the best at it. Not because you happen to be a Latina, because you're the best candidate for it, okay? Exactly. But it's gotta start here. And you've got to have, I believe, a very good support system, be they family, be they teachers, be they friends, be they counselors, people who will also cheer you on. And you know what? We're all going to stumble. We're all going to make mistakes along the way. It's okay, because we should learn from those mistakes. And sometimes, as was in my case, I had numerous obstacles along the way. But you realize that, you know, you have to learn how to face those obstacles and move on. You have to be resilient. So life is going to throw curves your way. Don't let that deter you from what your goal is. Stay focused, work hard. You can do it. Don't let anyone ever tell you you can't do it. You don't know how many other journalists I've spoken to, musicians, artists, scientists, doctors, immigrants who have told me, no, they said I would never aspire to anything, but I had a dream, I had a passion, and here I am today. You can break the mold, but you got to want it. And you know what? It will entail sacrifices. It would entail, you know, and destiny's going to get in the way sometimes, and fate, you know, but you've really got to want it in order to pursue it, and you can do it. When you do make it, whatever that it means for you, don't forget to pay it forward. We have a responsibility to become the role models for others. Whether or not we had role models in our lives, we have that responsibility to pay it forward and guide them and talk to them and let them know that it is possible, that it is attainable. I think I'm living proof of an immigrant that, you know, when given the right tools and when working diligently towards that goal that I had, that I can affect change. Not just in my life, but in the lives of others. So don't forget, pay it forward. It's your responsibility.